Guys, welcome to a classic film review of Bend of the River, a 1952 western starring James Stewart, Arthur Kennedy and Rock Hudson. This was directed by Anthony Mann, and it's the story of a group of homesteaders heading up to the Oregon Territory to start a new life. They're led by Stewart's guide with a questionable past, and they become the victims of gold rush greed that leads to corruption, mutiny and murder. Now, this is a pivotal movie in James Stewart's career. With the help of Anthony Mann, his pure and wholesome good guy image was dissolving. Literally a year after this, he'd be absolutely ruthless in The Naked Spur. But in Bend of the River, he'd show more subtle darkness. The film was pretty unsuccessful back in 1952, but trust me, this is top-tier Western goodness. Let's take a look.
I'll be seeing you, Glyn.
You'll be seeing me. You'll be seeing me. Every time you bed down for the night, you'll look back into the darkness and wonder if I'm there. And some night I will be. You'll be seeing me.
So, Bend of the River has James Stewart playing Glyn McLyntock. He's a guide escorting a wagon train up to Portland, and on the way he comes across the attempted lynching of Arthur Kennedy's character, Emmerson Cole. Now, the pair kind of recognise each other by name, hinting at a dodgy past for the two of them.
I didn't catch your name, or did you say it?
McLyntock. Glyn McLyntock.
Glyn McLyntock. From the Missouri country?
That's right.
You're gonna go farming?
Or ranching.
Now, Cole joins the wagon train and helps the convoy on its way to Portland, helping to fight off a pack of marauding Indians en route. And everything's rosy as they are welcomed to Portland, an up-and-coming town that couldn't be more helpful to ensure good, honest folk make their way upriver with the promise of their vital supplies following close behind. And it's at this point in the story that suave gambler Trey Wilson, played by Rock Hudson, turns up. His skills with the ladies more than matched by his skills with a gun. But it's also at this point that the film changes from good old wagons rolling western adventure to something much darker and more cynical. You see, no sooner do the settlers get off the riverboat to their new homeland than gold is struck, and Portland changes overnight from its quaint and friendly town to a bustling den of gamblers and gunfighters.
Captain, what's happened to this town?
Oh, that's what. Some fool went out in the hills and got himself some dust. This whole town's gone plumb crazy ever since.
What about our supplies?
Well, there they are, all stacked up on the dock. Your horses are over yonder. So's your cattle.
Now, the main issue here is that the homesteaders' supplies have been left on the dockside due to the price of everything skyrocketing during the gold rush. Now, this is also just the backdrop we're given, because the main theme of Bend of the River is based on the question of human nature and whether a man can change and leave behind a past of unsavoury behaviour in pursuit of a new future. The whole wagon train of settlers are looking for a new life, and so is Stewart's former raider. His past, though, is always looming over him, and he fears being found out by his new friends.
Does he know who you were?
No.
What happens when he finds out?
Maybe by that time he'll find out I'm right.
You're not right. They won't let you change. That's why you're a fool to lug all this food to the settlement. After you get it there, what happens?
Now, I've also talked about The Naked Spur on this channel and discussed James Stewart's ability to balance the light and dark side of his characters. I think this would reach the zenith in Hitchcock's Vertigo 5 years after this film, but there's no doubt that Anthony Mann was the catalyst.
Stay where you are, boys. Everything's gonna be real nice.
And the film as a whole clearly shows two opposing mentalities. The settlers looking for a wholesome life, living off the land, and the inherent temptation and greed that comes with being twisted by gold fever. And in the centre, James Stewart's Glyn and Arthur Kennedy's Emmerson, the pair circling each other, both knowing how dangerous the other can be. Being indebted to each other, they are kind of forced to collaborate, although both remain quite wary as to where the other man's loyalties lay. And you've also got J.C. Flippin's head of the family, Jeremy. He needs men like Glyn and Emmerson to make it to safety and then to survive at this remote settlement. Now, Anthony Mann and his cinematographer, Irving Glassberg, have the drama play out against this genuinely staggering scenery of the Pacific Northwest, Technicolor giving us greener than green forests and crisp snow-capped mountains. We also get some great river footage with the steamboat captained by Chubby Johnson's Captain Mello and his sidekick Adam, played by Stepin Fetchit in his token black sidekick role. Yeah, black actors and women not served particularly well here, but shout out to Julie Adams, who takes an arrow through the shoulder early on.
Don't surprise! Put out the lanterns!
Now, the movie can feel a little bit episodic. I'm still not convinced the plot really needs Rock Hudson's will they, won't they romance with a young Lori Nelson, or perhaps even Rock Hudson full stop. Although his name on the poster wouldn't have done its female box office any harm. But fair play, as Mann fits a lot of drama into the tight 91 minutes here. Of course, we do get shootouts, crosses and double crosses, but you won't be in any doubt as to whether the settlers do make it in the end. But you will find a few surprises along the way, I'm sure. Now, I don't want to oversell it too much here, but Stewart's and Kennedy's relationship and the various ways that they manoeuvre and butt heads is cut from the same cloth that Pacino and De Niro would mine from in Heat. They're not too far away from being the same person, as the Joker would say in The Dark Knight.
All it takes is a little push.
Now, the film is based on the novel Bend of the Snake by Bill Gullick, and when it was first released here in the UK, it was titled Where the River Bends. Now, hundreds and hundreds of westerns were made during the 1950s, more than 100 in 1952 alone, and that's not counting western-themed TV shows. It was big business back then, of course, but here, 70-odd years later, the truly great entries in the genre do stand out. Films that had a bit more to say than simply showing the good guy gun down the bad guy. Anthony Mann and James Stewart were among a few key players in bringing deeper themes and psychology to their output. And in Bend of the River, you feel the conflict in Stewart's character. You see the fear and betrayal in his eyes.
Now look at here. You made a deal, you're going to stick to it. There's 100 people up there that are dependent on that food to see them through the winter. What do you expect them to do, starve while you feed a bunch of crazy miners?
That's your problem.
Yeah, I know it's my
You're just the fella I'm looking for. Do you need any more men to load that?
So, fresh off a couple of other Western masterworks in Winchester 73 and The Furies, Anthony Mann would re-team with Stewart for The Naked Spur, The Far Country and The Man from Laramie, as well as a handful of other non-westerns. Now, this was at a time when the Cold War was at its hottest. The hydrogen bomb would first be tested in 1952, incidentally, and McCarthyism was nearing its peak in the US. The movies were also carrying messages of the value of trust and how capitalism and the lust for riches can corrupt decent folk. It's also got lynchings and knife fights and shootouts, so it's win-win. Go check it out.
Wait a minute, you're not going anywhere. Behind you! Having a little trouble?
Little.